Good morning, students. Today we will go with a new chapter, that is the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. What is the name of chapter? That is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Which is the second chapter of unit 1, that is reproduction in reproduction. Okay, so here this chapter carries around 12 marks in your for your theory exam. How many marks? That is for 12 marks. See, sexual reproduction means that is fusion of two gametes, that is the male and female gamete. Okay, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. One more name. See, sexual reproduction means that is fusion of male and female gametes. This process of fusing of male and female gametes is known as the sexual reproduction. What do you mean by reproduction? Means to continue the race of generation. The organisms are going to produce the another organism. Okay, then in whom we are studying means in flowering plants. Flowering plants, which is also known as the angiosperms. Okay, you had already studied about the classification of plants. Okay, that is angiosperms, which are the flowering plant, gymnosperm, which are the non-flowering plants. So we have to study about the flowering plants or the angiosperms. So these flowering plants, whatever the angiosperms are there, all the angiosperms, not one or two, all these angiosperms will show or they will exhibit a sexual reproduction. Whatever the plants you will see in your environment, whatever the plants which bears the flowers, okay, to them you will call the angiosperms or the flowering plants. In them, which type of reproduction? See, in chapter first, you had studied about the types of reproduction. What are the types of reproduction? That is the sexual and asexual reproduction. So, whatever the flowers you will see on the plant, in that particular plant, there will be all that flowering plants will exhibit a sexual reproduction. So, here flowers, whatever the flowers will be there on the plants, the flowers are the seed for sexual reproduction. Where the sexual reproduction is going to take place means that is in the flowers. Okay, see, you had studied about the morphological parts of the plant. It has a shoot system, it has a root system. Okay, so all they perform of various functions. Okay, so here whatever the flowering plants is there, they bear the flowers. Whether the sexual reproduction is going to take place in the roots, in the stem, in the leaf, in the bud, at the node. Okay, where exactly the sexual reproduction is going to take place means that is in the flowers. That's why we are calling it as the seed for sexual reproduction in whom? In the angiosperms. So, flowers are having whatever the flowers you will found in your environment, they have an invaluable objects. Okay, they are used for the ornamental purpose, social purpose, or religious purpose, cultural value. They have been used for the symbols for conveying the happiness, then whatever the what we call love, affection, happiness, accept that this grief, everything. For everything, we will use the flowers. So we have to study. See, the biologists or the scientists, they have given some of the morphological and anatomical structures of what flowers. So see here, we will see what is a typical flower. By drawing and diagram, I will explain all the parts of the flower. This is a lateral section of a typical flower. What is this? A lateral section of a typical flower. See here, you had already studied that flowers are the, what are the flowers? Flowers are the modified shoots. Okay, these modified shoots, when a flower is going to grow, before that modified shoot will give rise to a bud. What we can call that modified shoot? It is a floral bud. Okay, see, on these floral bud, there will be an action of certain hormones. What are that hormones? So, gibberellin, auxins, and one more hormone, that is the phlorogene. These three hormones will differentiate or develop. This floral bud is going to differentiate it and develops into a flower. In a flower. So this floral bud, on development by the action of these hormones, it is going to form an inflorescence. Okay, that inflorescence means whatever the correct arrangement of the particular parts of the flower. So that arrangement is going to done by whom? By these hormones. What are that? Gibberellin, auxins, then phlorogene. They will act on the floral bud or this vegetative bud, which will lead to the development of a typical flower. So see here, inflorescence are formed. Inflorescence means when arrangement is formed in a floral bud, then it is going to convert into, it is going to develop into a flower. So a typical flower consists of two lower accessory roles. See here, first of all, a flower or a complete flower, it consists of two accessory parts or two accessory roles. Whatever the parts will be there, that we can call it as the roles. Two accessory roles. Okay, what are the two accessory roles over here means that it is calyx and corolla. What it is? Calyx and corolla. What do you mean by this calyx and corolla means? So, calyx and corolla, these are the two accessory roles. What are about the essential roles? There will be presence of two accessory roles and two essential roles. What are the two essential roles? Means that is, one is androecium and one more, that is gynoecium. Okay, calyx and corolla means one more name, sepals, and one more, that is petals. Androecium, that is male. Gynoecium, that is female reproductive part. Okay, so these are the flower consists of four roles. That is, one is two accessory roles and two are essential roles. Two accessory roles means that is calyx and corolla, sepals and the petals. See here, what do you mean by this sepals and petals means? First of all, a flower, it has a base or a receptacle from which a flower is going to be taken out. So that region we can call, this region, the swollen part, we can call it as the receptacle. On this receptacle, there will be presence of two or more than two. There will be presence of a green colored leafy structure. What it is known as means, it is known as the sepals. Okay, green color leafy structure. See, this green color leafy structure are going to support the development of a flower. Okay. The next, there will be presence of petals. These are the red colored, you can see red colored part in the flower. That are the petals. These petals are the attractive. They have a bright colors. They bear a bright color. They bear some bright pigments which give a brighter color to the petals. So that bright color of the petals, their beautiful, their beauty is going to attract the pollinators. This is the role of what? Petals. Okay, due to their colorful nature and due to their beautiful structure, the pollinators means such as the insects, birds, whatever the animals which are going to pollinate means they are going to take the anthers, pollen grains from one flower to the another flower. Whatever the fertilization process will be there, that is so first of all that birds, insects, butterflies, bees, everything they have to be attract on that particular flower. Then only they will come and sit on the flower. For that attraction purpose, there will be petals. Okay, sepals, petals. Sepals, which is green colored leafy structure, which is going to support the development or support the flower. Petals are mainly meant for the attraction for the pollinators. Okay, next we will go for the two essential roles or the two essential parts of a typical flower. What are the two essential or important parts of the typical flower? Means that is the androecium. One is the androecium and second is the gynoecium. Whatever the male reproductive structure will be there in a flower, that is known as the androecium. Male reproductive structure in a flower is known as the androecium. Keep in mind. Okay, don't be in confusion. Female reproductive structure in a flower is known as the gynoecium. Okay, so next here, let's see about the androecium and gynoecium. What are the different parts are there in the androecium and what are the different parts are there in gynoecium. Okay, and gynoecium, it consists of a roll of carpels. Okay, here the two structures are there, two parts are there. Androecium, that is the stamen, and among the gynoecium, it is the carpel. Okay, so first we will see about the carpel. This part is the carpel. Carpel is the female reproductive part. Okay, this carpel contains or it consists of three parts. What are that? Means that is stigma, style, one more, that is ovary. What are the three parts of carpel? See here, this structure we can call it as the carpel. I will explain here. Okay, this part in a flower, this is the stigma, this is the style, and this is the ovary. Altogether, this unit we can call it as the carpel, which is a structure of what? Gynoecium. Gynoecium means what? Female reproductive structure. Okay, this unit or this particular part, you can call it as the female reproductive structure, which consists of three very important parts, that is the stigma, style and ovary. Stigma, which is present at the terminal part of the flower, as you can see here. Okay, style, which is a slender filament or tube-like structure, which is going to terminate into a swollen part of the flower at the basal region of the flower, that it is the ovary. And here in the ovary, you can see small structure they are the ovules. Okay, further you will come to know about the ovules. Okay, so this is about the female reproductive structure. Next we will go for the male reproductive structure. So see here. This is the anther and this is the filament. Anther and filament. Okay, this anther and filament, they both together, these both parts, we can constitute it in the, it can be named as the stamen. This unit is named as the stamen. For example, this is the anther, this is the filament. Okay, anther and filament all together, we can call it as the stamen. What we can call? We can call it as the stamen. So this is the male reproductive structure, or else we can also call it as the androecium. What we can call? We can call it as the androecium. Okay. See here, whatever the carpel stamens will be there in different varieties of plants, in different varieties of flowering plants, the size, the shape, the structure of the carpel and stamen, it will be varying in different. How many flowers you will collect from the different species? If you see by dissecting it, you can see the different shapes and structure of and number stamens in different plants. Okay. First, in detail, we will study about the stamen. That is the, I think you had came to know the detailed structure of this particular flower. Okay. Next, first we will study about the stamen. Okay. What are the parts? What are the, how it is located? How a male gamete is going to form? What is the male gamete in the flowering plants? Means that is the pollen grain. So let's see. Next topic, that is stamen, microsporangium and pollen grain. So next we have to study about these three things. That is stamen, microsporangium, and one more, that is the pollen grain. First we will go for the stamen. Okay, this is the stamen. As I already told you, what do you mean by stamen? That is the male reproductive. Here How it is means? So, stamen is composed of two parts, sorry, three parts. That is, first is anther, okay, which is one of the bilobed structure. You can see there is a presence of two lobes. How many? Two lobes you can see. That's why this bilobed structure is known as the anther, which is a bilobed structure. Okay, then this anther, which is present at the terminal part of the stamen, or each stamen is differentiated into terminal spore bearing organ. This anther is also known as the terminal spore bearing organ. What it is? It is the terminal, means which is present at the terminal end of the stamen. Okay, terminal spore bearing organ. Next thing here, the stamen is also known as the, here I will write, this stamen, it is also known as the microsporofilm. Why we are calling it as the microsporofilm? Means their size will be very small. Okay, that's why it is micro. Sporofilm means the stamen is a spore-bearing organ. What it is? It is a spore. Spore means what? A cell. Okay, so that is sporofilm. Stamen is the spore-bearing organ. The anther, which is present in a bilobed structure, and a slender stalk is present arising from the stamen, and this stalk, slender stalk, we can call it as the filament. What it is? This is the filament. Okay, slender stalk which is arising from this anther, that is the, what we call, that is the filament. So I told you each anther, it consists of two lobes. Lobe number 1, lobe number 2. Okay, each stamen is consists of three parts. That is the anther, filament, and one more, that is the connective tissue. Each anther consists of what? An anther, sorry, each stamen consists of an anther filament. About anther and filament I told you. Then next that is about the connective tissue. This of the anther contains two pollen sacs. If we see, these are the two lobes. If we take a transverse section, if we cut it, how you can see means, you can see like this structure. Okay, it will be like this. The anther will be like this. If we cut it, this anther in a transverse way, you can see like this structure. Okay, so this each anther, each lobe of the anther, we are taking only one lobe. Each lobe of the anther contains two pollen sacs. See, if it is, each lobe means we can see this part, only this part, this one. Okay, and here it will be presence of two sacs, sac-like structures. In each lobe, there will be presence of two sacs. Okay, in the another lobe, another two sacs will be present. And these two sacs in a lobe is known as the pollen sacs. What it is known as? It is known as the pollen sacs. One more name for this pollen sac is microsporangia. Microsporangia. Listen here carefully. Each lobe means I had shown you by giving by representing it with an imaginary line. Here, this we can consider an lobe number 1. This is lobe number 2. Okay. In the lobe number 1, you can see pollen sac 1, pollen sac 2. All together, if we see, there will be presence of 4 pollen sacs. This sac-like structure inside this anther, we can call it as the pollen sacs or the microsporangia. Okay, then this 4 pollen sacs of means each anther consists of 4 pollen sacs or 4 microsporangia. Next thing here that it see next we will see about this pollen sacs or the microsporangia. See, stamen, which is also known as the microsporophyll because it is a spore bearing organ. Then pollen sac, it is also the microsporangia. Okay, microsporangia means which is having a pollen sacs. So whatever the anthers which is having the 2 lobes, you can see the 2 lobes and 4 pollen sacs. Keep in mind, this question will become for 1 mark. Okay, an anther these are the 2 lobes, 1, 2. An anther with 2 lobes and 4 pollen sacs is known as the dichoecious. What it is known as? It is known as the dichoecious anther. Question for 1 mark. What do you mean by dichoecious? An anther with 2 lobes and 4 pollen sacs is known as the dichoecious. See, always all the flowers are not dichoecious, but majority of the pollen anthers are the dichoecious. Rarely you will find what some number has been increased or some number has been decreased in different varieties or in different species. So whatever this during maturity, when an anther is younger, at that condition you can see the 4 microsporangia and 2 lobes. What happens when this anther attains a maturity? The 2 microsporangia of anther lobe get united. Okay, whatever this see here, this is about, we are talking about the young anther. When this young anther gets mature, at that time, this 4 pollen sacs will be there in a younger stage. These 4 pollen sacs or the microsporangias of an anther gets united, means they are going to merge or gets united with the, how they are going to united means whatever the wall layers will be there, they are going to be dissolved or dissolution of that particular layers or partition wall between them. That is the reason they all will get merged. Okay. In some plants such as the China rose, anther is having only a single anther lobe. Okay, some examples I am telling for these anther lobes. In China rose, only 1 anther will be there. Okay, and 2 microsporangia will be there. Okay, then such anther is known as the monoecious anther. Then in rare cases where only 1 microsporangia will be there, means only 1 pollen sac will be there, which is very rare, okay, per anther, and that is known as the monosporangiate anther. Okay, like these questions they will ask for minute, not for the theory. Only for theory they will ask what do you mean by this diathecious. Okay, so here next we will go for the structure of an anther. A structure of an anther we will see here. We have talked about the stamen, microsporangia. Next, we will talk about the structure of anther. Structure of anther, which is very important question for 5 marks. How many marks? That is for 5 marks. Here, this structure I will draw here. See, this is the structure of what? An outline. Outline of a structure of anther. First of all, this anther, it is consist of, or it is made up of the 4 wall layers. If we see a transverse section, a typical microsporangium appears nearly circular in outline. It is surrounded by microsporangium is surrounded by 4 wall layers. How many? That is, it is surrounded by 4 wall layers. What are that 4 wall layers? Means first is the epidermis, second is the endothecium, third is the middle layer, and fourth is the tapetum. How many layers are there? 4 wall layers are there. What are that 4 wall layers? That is epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, and one more, that is the tapetum layer. So here the cells, see, first we will see about the epidermis layer. See, epidermis, which is the outermost wall layer of the anther, okay, which is protective in function. The epidermis, outermost wall layer of anther, which is protective in function, which protects the developing anther. protective and functional. Okay, next here the epidermal cells are tangentially stretched and flattened. How it is means tangentially stretched and the cells are flattened cells. You will see here it will be somewhat like this. Flattened cells. Like this it will be. Flattened cells which are stretched. In which form they are present? In a stretched form. What is this layer is known as? It is known as the epidermis layer. It is outermost layer, epidermis. Okay, the next after that second layer is there, that is the endothecium. Endothecium, which is a subepidermal layer. Subepidermal layer means just below this epidermal layer there will be presence of a endothecium layer, which is mostly single layer but many but may become the multi-layer. Okay, mostly it will be single layer but it may become the multi-layer. And here the cells are radially and tangentially arranged. How it is arranged? That it is radially and tangentially arranged. Cells has a characteristic thickening bands, the presence of fibrous band, differential expansion of inner and tangential wall. So how it is located? Let's see. These are the cells which are radially arranged. This layer is known as the where the cells are arranged in a radial form, and these cells are known as the endothecium. What it is known as? The second layer, that is the endothecium. Okay, endothecium layer is there. Then next, after this layer, there will be presence of a middle layer. These cells, the cells of these layers are epidermal and degenerate during the maturity of the anther. What it is? That is the middle layer. Like this, it will be the middle layer cells. Which will be now this middle layer cells, this will be in the form of 2 to 3 layers. Middle layers, which is present in between the endothecium and the tapetum. Inner to this one, there will be presence of an tapetum layer. Innermost layer, one layer of this anther, that is the tapetum layer. This innermost layer is the tapetum layer, and here see the cells of the tapetum layer are relatively large. You can see the cells. The cells are as compared to endothecium and the epidermis middle layer. These are larger cells. which have a dense cytoplasm and more than one nucleus. Okay, more than one nucleus means these cells we can also call it as the binucleated or multinucleated cells, and it has a dense cytoplasm. These cells, one of the important function of these cells, here I will mention, this is the fourth layer, that is the tapetum. Okay, so this tapetum layer, one of the important function, this tapetum layer or the cells of this tapetum layer nourishes the developing pollen grains. What it will do, it will nourishes the developing pollen grains. This tapetum layer will have a prominent nucleus with the dense cytoplasm. What is the function of this tapetum means that is it is nourishing the developing pollen grains, and inside this there will be presence of a tissue that is known as the sporogenous tissue. About this sporogenous tissue I will explain in the next class. This is the sporogenous tissue. Okay, so this is the structure of what? Of the anther. They will ask for 5 marks. You have to draw it, and 4 wall layers you have to mention. Then you have to explain that 4 wall layers. Okay, for 5 marks. Tomorrow I will explain once again in detail and about how the pollen grains are going to develop from these sporogenous tissues. Okay, thank you.